We live in a world that is always encouraging us to be successful, to follow our dreams, and to pursue our happiness. From a young age, I had the desire to always have the best clothes, the best friends, the best grades, and go to the best colleges. Because that's what I believed made a person be successful. It didn't take long for me to realize that behind all of that, something else was growing inside of me. Fear. Feeling of fear of falling behind, feeling of being ordinary, fear of not being enough. There was a belief that my peers were always doing something better than me, and an overwhelming sense that my worth depended on my achievements. I thought the world would crumble if I wasn't able to do well on a test because how would I ever get into a good college and find a good job? Now, as I go through my senior year, I often see my peers spiraling because what if they don't get into a super prestigious school? That apparently would be the end of all times. Society promises us fulfillment through achievements. Meanwhile, it's feeling us exhausted and anxious. So I began to ask myself, why do we pursue success so intensively if the pursuit itself is making us unwell? That made it clear that our measurements for success must change. Currently, the Western metrics of success are largely defined by financial growth. Success becomes the ability to purchase items and afford luxury experience. It is about what and how much you consume. Success is having the recognition in the workplace, where titles are slowly becoming the substitutes of our identity. It is having the best grades, the best resume, being admitted to the most prestigious university. And most importantly, success is framed as something you should be able to achieve alone. Be independent, be better than others, be the best at everything you do. Otherwise, you're a failure. One of the driving forces behind this mentality has been the rise of individualism. Individualism is defined as the principle of being independent and self-reliant, or a social theory that favors freedom over collective structure. The American historian Stephen Mintz explains that, open quotes, individualism reshaped personal identity, political structures, and social norms. It enabled people to see themselves as autonomous agents capable of shaping their own destinies rather than mere subjects of monarchies or social hierarchies, end quotes. While it brought great advances to our society, it has also contributed to social isolation, consumerism, and the weakening of communal bonds. We live in a society that praises individual achievement so extensively that asking for help is often internalized as a personal failure. What follows is stress, burnout, self-doubt, and the feeling of inadequacy. As we chase success, we carry this constant burden to achieve, to produce, and to find external validations for our actions. But at what cost? Forbes magazine reports a research from Moodle that shows that 66% of American employees are experiencing some form of burnout in 2025, with the younger generations facing the highest rates. After all, people may be able to achieve success, to have the best grades, to enter the most selective universities, secure high-paying jobs, and be able to purchase anything they want. But many do so while feeling exhausted, lonely, anxious, and profoundly unsatisfied. Our community bonds are weaker. We're afraid to ask for help. There was a time when needing a cup of sugar meant knocking on a neighbor's doors, as in now means opening an app and having it delivered. We solve all of our problems by ourselves because we believe like we must. If we're struggling, we think that something's wrong with us, that feeling anything other than happiness is a sign of weakness. We tend to compare ourselves and assume that everybody's doing better than us. We live in a state of constant pressure, always trying to win at life. But what if winning was never the point? What if the problem is not that we're failing, but that we're measuring the wrong things? Across the world, different cultures have developed different standards for what it means to live well. For example, Japan has adopted a concept of ikai, which offers a more holistic view and purpose to fulfillment. The term combines iki, which means to live, and gai, meaning worth or value. It embodies the cultural emphasis on harmonizing individual fulfillment and social contribution. It suggests that success is not simply what we achieve, but what we contribute, how our actions support both ourselves and the communities. This shows success as a purpose, not a status. Let's consider Bhutan, whose development philosophy centers on gross national happiness. Instead of measuring progress only through economic indicators, the country evaluates well-being, community, cultural preservation, and environmental harmony. The National Library of Medicine explains that happiness, health, and well-being are closely related. Yet, industrialized countries still often link happiness with material consumption. The research shows that giving increasing evidence that the current trajectory of human development is not sustainable, there's an urgent need for more inclusive measures of progress than traditional economic indicators such as gross domestic product. We need to recognize our parameter of success must change. We see this idea in the Nordic culture, where in the report of happiest countries in the world, Finland, Denmark, and Iceland takes the lead. The Nordic concept of legume means just the right amount, where instead of extremes, they value balance. They value a balanced work-life schedule and a balanced social life that includes both time with oneself and for others, meaning that the idea of enough isn't seen as settling, it's seen as freedom. Freedom to breathe, to enjoy relationships, to create, and to live without constant comparison. Having just enough, you have time and space for relationships, rest, and creativity. This global model reminds us that success does not have to look like endless productivities. There are other ways to live. So, I ask each one of you, what would your life look like if your worth wasn't tied to productivity or performance? Imagine if we started to measure success by how much kindness we spread over how many achievements we collect. I encourage you to examine your personal vision of success and how it has been created and shaped. To recognize that culture is a powerful force that tends to influence our desires, but have the courage to question it. I dream of a world where we don't compete for validation, but a world where we build on one another's ideas, where people help each other to develop projects. A place where asking for help is seen as a sign of wisdom, not of weakness, where we choose to celebrate people for their kindness and compassion. At the end of the day, I want to live a life that's successful, but not because of titles and achievements, but because it's a life rich in laughter, connection, and generosity, where worth is derived from who you are, not what you produce. At the end of the day, I want to be successful, but I want the measurements to be different. At the end, I want to count how many people I have helped over how many promotions I got at work. We often believe that we must be improving, outperforming, producing, that we're never enough. Because how could we? There's always someone out there who's doing more. So we feel anxious. We pretend to be okay. We avoid and we fear asking for help. We carry burdens alone that were never meant to be carried in solitude. But at the end of the life, those are not the things people wished for. They don't wish they had earned more money or achieved higher grades. They wish they said, I love you more often. They wish they had been more present, cared more deeply. They wish they had spent more time with the people they loved and lived a more authentic life. So, in this fast-paced society we live in, give yourself permission to find balance, that you seek purpose, not perfection. Choose to contribute, to support others, and to ask for help along the way. That in your journey you find meaning not only to your life, but to those around you as well. After all, in the words of William James, the greatest purpose of life is to live it for something that will last longer than you. Thank you.